I promise I will have you out of here by 10.
That's good because we have another meeting.
Oh, then we will be out before 5.
We'll be out here by 10 too.
We have one at 11. I have one. The principal at 11:30.
Or 10 to 10.
Sorry for taking some of your time, Leanne. Oh,
That's
here.
okay. I think we can whip through this.
Let's do it.
That's what this is for?
Oh,
Well, the other one, yeah, the one over here, yeah.
that moves the camera?
Yeah.
That's
So we can
cool.
put you right there.
Oh, I'll go sit over here then.
We can move everybody.
Since you're driving. Let's have it over here. Again,
Okay.
it's my primary.
Is Teresa here today?
Is what?
Teresa here today?
No, she's at a conference, so she's not here right now.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Should we start? Or wait a minute?
Yes.
Start. Okay. I would like to address primary supports for ELL students today. And there is an abundance of literature, resources that I will show you at the end of class. And if I seem a little dead, it's because it's dead week. So, I want to share this with you. Okay, can you see it?
No.
No. What?
No.
There we go.
Wait. There, oh, wait. It was there, but then it's not.
I'm gonna mute.
Ah.
I just stop.
Freeze the screen.
Did you mute us?
I didn't yet, because that's what I was doing.
What would I be doing wrong?
Oh.
Are you gonna talk to her or no?
Can you see it? Hello?
I can see it, Leanne.
Okay. I wonder if the group can see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Oh,
only-
okay. Okay, so here we go.
Leanne, we
Yes.
need to mute ourselves so that when your screen stays up so that we can see it.
It only shows when you're talking.
So we're gonna mute.
I see. I see. Okay.
Alice wants to talk.
Okay, I'm ready. So it's primary language supports for language acquisition today. And I just want to review some of the things we have looked at, supports, and we've looked at many. We have looked at cognates as language supports, graphic organizers, advanced organizers, guided reading, working with a partner, bilingual books and labeling, integrating movement into our lessons. And I wanted to point out here, down here, can you see my little mouse? I guess you can't. Singing. For example, a teacher in Woodburn, when I made visits to the schools, would have singing during transitions in a dual language class for her in the student's native language. You could also have the students bring in their own songs. For example, if you have several different languages in your class, and maybe translate them later. Okay, another support is student portfolios, which you're all familiar with, gathering observations, performance samples, and work samples in a folder or portfolio to summarize the student's progress. Okay, one of you asked me, how can we implement technology in the classroom? We haven't really talked about that. But one thing I want to say first, not everybody's going to have technology available to them. For example, when I made home visits in Woodburn, I saw little technology in the houses of the people. They might have had, of non-native speakers, they might have had a TV that was not working. However, there are some students who have it and there's others that don't, so we can't completely rely on it. And another problem could be the school might not have that many computers as well, or technology that you can look at. But if we had, oh, let's wait on that. Oh shoot, I didn't want, I'll come back to that. So if we did have technology as a support, here's some examples. In a kindergarten room, you could have them do storytelling or math presentations by using overhead projectors, transparency pictures. You want to start small with them. Primary grades, you could have book talks with video camera, VCR monitor, computer with internet access. And above third grade, you could have space exploration projects. And there's the site that are related to space travel and exploration. And technology, as we know, can be a powerful tool for all ELL students. One benefit of using technology with ELLs is for LDs. And that it will easily allow the teacher to differentiate the students' learning and learning outcomes. Technology can also help teachers successfully implement students' accommodations on classroom assignments and tests by having content read aloud, providing visuals, access to an online dictionary, translation of words or phrases, and more. And of course, there are other technology devices that translate languages. The language might not be translated perfectly, but at least you can get some words that could help you. One of my students did her thesis on iPads, and John and I worked on this. And we found that the iPads really helped out our ELL students with learning disabilities. So she had a lot of success with it. But they all had iPads in the classroom, which was great. John, do you want to add a little more? It was Alexandra Sanders. Oh, you can't hear. Okay, so I want to know from you, what are other types of technology you can use in the classroom, and explain how you would use it. So just take a few minutes, take about 5 minutes of other types of technology and explain or give an example.
Leanne,
Yes.
I'll go. I have one that we use.
Okay, go ahead. Can everybody hear it? Yeah.
So we in ELL class, and the students have used it using Google Docs. We've had the students work on projects simultaneously, where they're both adding information and working back and forth so that they're reading and interacting, and they like that.
That's a great idea.
And then we've also used video where they have with that computer so that they recorded themselves reading and talking, and then listened to it back and talked about it.
That's great. How about anyone else want to add? How about Karin? Oh, let me take this off.
Okay, so We didn't have much time to talk. We got started on one of the things that we discussed is when places don't have technology, you might be using just a whiteboard. But if you have a smart board, there are a lot of programs that can be used with that. And we, like I said, we didn't have much time to talk, so we didn't get into specifics on that. Does anybody want to help me out on this?
Elmo's. I would like an Elmo.
An Elmo? Okay.
I don't know how to use one, but I think it'd be handy.
Hey, I have a question I'd like to ask. You said that the student was looking at the use of iPads. What do they actually do on the iPads?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I have her thesis posted that I'm gonna put up. I can't remember exactly. It was 4 years ago, but I just know she had a lot of success with the students using them. Unless John can remember. John, do you remember Alex Sanders?
I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to remember back. So I'm not sure if they were looking at, it just seemed like even looking at vocabulary, using the iPads helped them and with comprehension as well.
Hey, Leanne, one of the things that, if you take an old-fashioned idea and move it into the technological age, like when students have pen pals somewhere else, they can use pen pals, but it's much faster with email than it used to be with real live letters. So they could use classroom internet, maybe not even a whole individual, but you could do a whole class email, a group writing, a shared writing experience to another class, and then have them write back and forth.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Another thing you could use is like Skype or Google Hangouts, and actually, like, if you have a certain culture or a variety of cultures represented in your classroom, you could maybe even try to connect with classrooms in other parts of the world. That would maybe help them connect with other students that speak their language.
Yes.
I also think audiobooks are really valuable for modeling fluency and just helping them in general with comprehension and that kind of thing.
And there is a really great source online, free online source called the International Digital Children's Library. And those books come in, I think, every written language in the world. And you can find something there. And that's a free resource for people to use.
So it's digital international.
It's either International Children's Digital Library or International Children, I can't remember what order, but it's International Children's Digital Library, and it is, Ron is looking it up. What is it? ICDL?
International Children's Digital Library, yes.
Yeah.
And it's childrenslibrary.org.
Okay.
It's audio.
No, it's not audio, I don't think.
Okay.
I think it's just text.
Text.
They may have added that audio feature since I was using it, but.
One thing I think it's called LibriVox, that people do audio book recordings of like free domain stuff. And I don't know if they do it in other languages, but they might. And if they do, that might be a good resource.
And I can look up, I don't have it in my head, but the Association of Literacy Educator Literacy Educator Researchers, ELL, they have a member who has put together a website that has a bunch of children's picture books that they do read in Spanish. You get to pick the book it shows up with a bookshelf, and they get to pick the book that they want, and then they can read it in English or Spanish, and I think there might be French, German, and something else. And those are just short little picture books, and they're for really young kids. But
What was the name of that one?
I can't remember the name of the website. I'll pull it up. I'll find it and I'll let you know.
What I'll do is I'll put up a discussion.
Okay.
You can just add it. That'd be great. How about Alan? Do you have any ideas?
No.
That's okay.
Not really, other than the ones that have already been mentioned.
Okay. Anybody else have other ideas?
Are we unmuted?
We're unmuted, go ahead.
You could go back to the old overhead transparencies that many of the schools, maybe rural schools or schools in Mexico or wherever, might still have the overhead. I think We still have one over in the,
We still have.
yeah, over in the whatever it is.
Yeah.
ISB building has an overhead. So it might be that you can go back to that kind of technology as well.
Yes. And it's good as a first step for the really little kids. You want them to get used to using technology. Or non-native speakers that are at a lower proficiency level. Great idea. Anybody else? Kristen, did you have any ideas?
I was thinking the Elmo, just to step up from the,
Right.
yeah, dot
Yeah,
camera.
we used to call those opaque projectors way back in the day. They were like this
Oh.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had training on how to use one.
So did I.
Yeah.
And I can still thread a movie.
I can too.
You got nothing on me.
Go ahead, Craig.
I just remember it came out with, yeah, one of those.
Ditto machines, ditto, yeah.
Yes.
The purple stuff all over your fingers.
Yeah.
I just remember paper.
That's
Let's,
nothing.
did John have any other ideas? And you can pass it. No. Okay. Let's see. Wait time. Rayette, did you have anything to add?
So mine was the whiteboard, but one of the things I know I used in the classroom was instead of always paying, and because we didn't have the resources available then, we used to actually tape ourselves, well, not tape, but we used to use the video recording or the mic recording on our phones and make our own digital books.
Yeah.
So our students could access those and they were free.
Oh,
I actually did that with the cassette tapes a long, long time ago, and I'd make recordings for my students.
And actually, now that you said that, I was thinking about kids also liked to record themselves reading, and
Yeah.
they were willing to practice the same story multiple times. So it gave them an authentic reason to do repeated readings.
mm-hmm.
There are also like textbooks that are audio textbooks for the secondary. I know that there's a lot of books available through I can't remember the website, but it was for those with blind disability, and so that even though they weren't able to necessarily get a book, they could hear it, so they could still learn U.S. history or those types of things. And those resources are available out there, and I think that would be valuable.
And,
Yes.
and I just learned about something that I didn't know about, and that maybe I'm late to the game, but I heard there's a thing called slow news, where you can listen to news in another language, but they slow their speech down so that it's easier to understand. So if you're doing, like if you're high school and you're working with current events or something, if you can hook them up with the slow news, that would be great.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I just signed up for it.
Did you? Now, does it there's a free version, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, or you pay for it, but it's not that expensive. And I learned about it through NPR.
That's where I heard about it.
Double check the LibriVox one, which I mentioned, and like their list of languages that people are doing public domain books in is so long I can't find the bottom, and it includes things like Luxembourgish and Gascon. So there are lots of resources on LibriVox that you could use too.
So Leanne, you're gonna put up a discussion board where we can put all these links and ideas, right?
Your last assignment.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that too. Okay. If we've covered a lot of technology. So I'll show you some other supports we could use. One of my students, this was 2017, used sentence frames for his thesis to help increase professional development and academic vocabulary. Show you one there. There is literature available as to how you make this up. And there's an abundance of literature in school libraries as well. I asked him where he got these ideas, and he got these ideas from other teachers. So sentence frames always help students with meaning instead of isolated words. And students don't have to learn every word to understand the meaning of the sentence. So this is an example for our first grade. Here's second, third. It's a little more advanced. Have you seen these before? Okay. And then I will show you the most advanced. Oh, shoot. Let me see if I can see it here. Shoot. There it is. So I think these are neat ideas. And it helped the people who were doing professional development and the students as well. So my question to you is, and I'll give you more time to think this time about things. What are other ideas you might have that would help enhance vocabulary in context? I should have put up there, that has not been mentioned. So take about 5 minutes. And I'll time it this time. Okay, about 1 more minute. And let's see if everybody can come up with something. All right, are you ready? No. Ready?
Yes, sure.
Okay, sure. Okay, I want everyone to try and come up with something. If you can't, just pass it to somebody else.
I did.
Let's start with Kendra.
All right. One thing I thought was that with littler kids, you could do like word walls that have pictures attached to them that go with like whatever theme or unit you're teaching about. And it could have pictures and then like the vocabulary word in both languages.
Great. Candy.
I'm still thinking.
That's my standard answer. I'll answer the answer to everything.
I will go.
Oh, okay.
Something that we did in my classroom is we labeled everything and just made sure even the walls were labeled. So the kids always saw that language and could put the context with the word when they saw it.
Right. Great. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I'll just go and then we can see how many we get through quickly. I would talk about shared reading where it's not just one person reading the text, it's the teacher and the students together working on the text. And so that's within context. And so shared reading is a good way to do that.
Yes.
I'll build on that because I was thinking about choral responses. So just to get the kids used to saying the word, if the teacher could say the word and then the kids all repeat that together.
That's excellent. Because that reduces your anxiety.
I think also building on that, one of my favorites, Anita Archer always talks about when you're teaching vocabulary, multiple exposures and multiple opportunities to use the vocabulary. So no matter what you're doing, being really conscious of pointing out each time you encounter the vocabulary and giving them multiple opportunities to use it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And singing songs about the content to the tune of familiar songs, but then replacing with language that explains the vocabulary.
Great. Yes. Anyone else?
What about the use of like flashcards and building basically kind of a toolbox for each student as they build their vocabulary and can go back and refresh maybe vocabulary that they have forgotten or don't know how to use?
That'd be great.
Kind of related to that. Have them do a vocabulary journal, especially for academic language.
My kids are really into art, so, you know, and I know not all kids are, but I think a lot of young kids are. And so if there's a way to incorporate art in vocabulary and building on like the journal idea.
Miriam and I used to do that with, when we taught this academic language science grant, we had a whole grant on that. And one of the things we did was have them build these little flip books. And so there was the word and then the definition and then maybe using the word in a sentence and then a picture so they could draw the picture or find a picture. So they built these books that had multiple ways to look at that vocabulary word.
And for those that don't, it's colloquium last night. She had us do something with vocabulary to learn some of the animals of Africa.
Pictures.
So she had pictures projected, and then we had kind of reference guides of small pictures and the name of the animal, and then we had to guess what animal it was, and she confirmed whether or not that was correct. And then when they came up again later, she would say, and you should know what this animal is because, so that would be part of that multiple exposure.
Well done, Donna. Again, we did a great presentation.
It was really fun, actually. It was fun to have you all there and feel like I was talking to people I knew and could appreciate it.
Okay, let's a couple more people. Move on.
How about John and Scott?
Yes. That's my phone. Sorry.
Well, a lot of you covered a lot of mine with reading and the pictures and interactions. Multiple exposures is always good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just interaction games too, though, that are good, like the memory game and those types of things. I like those.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought up games.
So one of our master's students in the MS program was looking at posters that he made. I have a couple of them in front of me. One is a cause and effect poster that was meant to help the students construct sentences that were like that, the ELL students. And then he had another one that's compare and contrast. And when I taught algebra and geometry in Algebra 2, I had the students make posters about the concepts and the vocabulary they were learning, and that worked well for all students, whether they were English language learners or not.
Yes. Great idea. Okay. Good. We'll move on.
Now go.
Okay, if I could add just one more piece. John
Sure.
made me think about a fifth grade classroom I was in recently, and they were studying bridges. And so each of the kids or groups of kids had made a poster with either the vocabulary for like fork and suspension and things that were associated with building a bridge, but also language that engineers would use.
Mm-hmm.
So they had words like because up there. And so then when there was a review happening in the classroom, the teacher asked, well, what kind of words might we use when we're talking about building a bridge? And one kid said, because. And I thought, oh, that's going to get slapped down. And the teacher said, that is a great word, because that's how scientists and engineers talk. We're going to build this bridge in this way because it's the most structurally sound. So, and then I looked around the room and saw all these posters that were up that the kids had made, which I thought was a great way for them when they were doing their write-ups, then they could go back to those vocabulary words.
Donna, you are an overachiever today. That's all I want to say.
Oh, I just get it.
Roll.
2 days in a row.
You were able to see my sentence frames, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So that kind of reminded me of that too. Okay, the last part we're going to go over are manipulatives. Using objects in your classroom to connect concepts to concrete objects. Okay, here's one. For vocabulary, you could have dolls to teach body parts, blocks to teach shapes, sizes, texture. Math, beans for counters, measuring cups. You can read that. Science, you could use toothpicks for construction. Magnets could be used also. And then I want to give you another few minutes. Think of concrete objects that can be used in the classroom to connect to concepts and how you would explain it or give an example. So let's take 5 more minutes for this. Take about 2 more minutes.
Okay, this time I'm not letting you take all my ideas before.
Yeah, I was going to pick you first, actually.
So a manipulative that we use a lot is clay.
Uh-huh.
and especially with making alphabet letters and making writing their name with clay and those types of things.
That's fantastic. Okay. How about John?
Yes, this is easy for me. I teach all my elementary students that students learn math concepts from concrete to abstract, and you have to start with concrete. So when you're teaching little kids learning, you're using blocks and things and pushing them together. When you're dividing, you're breaking things into groups. When you want to count, you use number lines. I could go on for quite a while, but manipulatives are essential for kids in their math learning, and they're sort of universal. The counting things in for a language learner works equally well with manipulatives. They seem to be a universal language.
Yes. Okay, anyone else?
Here we go.
So here we talked about with literature to be able to read books, common read alouds, but then to have manipulatives related to those books for free choice time to practice retells.
And what kind of manipulatives would you use?
So Rhett was talking about there was an old lady who swallowed a fly, so to have the fly, the horse, the different things. And then I've seen before with Knuckle Bunny where they have the bunny and a little mock laundromat. So just anything that's related to the main characters or main objects in the story, something for them to retell the very basics.
Yes, perfect. Anybody else?
In social studies, we do a lot with historical artifacts and archaeological artifacts, bring those in for kids to be able to see what things are and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Or using like a map or a globe to show them where the story takes place.
That's a great idea.
I think role playing, although people aren't really manipulatives, but acting things out is really helpful so that they see what the words are talking about.
Yes.
Puppets.
Puppet, yeah.
That's great. I couldn't remember who said it. It was such a good idea. I wanted to throw it out there.
Yes. I used puppets in the Dominican Republic. We used to put on plays for the kids who are learning English. I had to write the plays. The plays weren't very good. I learned. Anybody else want to add, like Alan or Michael?
Well, you know, manipulatives in special education for kids that are really having problems, you know, that's one way for them to learn the letters is through touch. So even things like pieces of sandpaper cut out in the shape of letters, you know, it's tactile learning, and that helps a lot of kids. So
yeah,
anything like that.
That's related to what you said and what Scott said. Rhonda mentioned using salt boxes and things so that they're real tactile. They can write their letters, their names, whatever in there.
Thanks for giving me
Give me credit. I'm not going to steal the idea like somebody else.
How about another subject or topic that you could use manipulatives in?
We missed the
Can
question.
you repeat the question?
What topic?
Oh, okay. We talked about math and social studies and special education.
Any language arts. You could do it in any subject.
Yes. Right. Okay. That was the last one. Now I'm going to show you some resources that are my favorite. And then I will put some up on the discussion board. And I'd like everybody to participate in it. It'll be 10 points. And that will be for the technology. So here are some of my favorites. The 50th, it's the second one down. It's the fifth edition of the 50 Strategies for Teaching English Language Learners. And I think a teacher just told me about it. But there are just so many ideas. And I couldn't cover them all today, of course. The sentence frames came from Jonathan Jones's thesis. Another place is, have you heard of Edutopia? It's a site on the internet that is called Edutopia. And they have technology supports, ideas for singing and dancing, published newspapers on bettering your ELL classroom. And I just signed up for that too. I was amazed at what you can find on there. Have any of you used Go Noodle? Well, that's a fun resource for children to sing and dance along and learn vocabulary and stories and everything, math. We talked about iPads today with learning disabilities. I'll put more up there about that because that question came up. How did she help the learning people with disabilities? And that was from Alexa Sanders' thesis. And then we'll just have more resources posted on Canvas. Now, last thing, next term, everything will be online, which will be nice, I think. Everybody can go at their own pace and won't have to get out of their bed to come to these classes. So I want to thank you, and that is it for today. Any questions?
Thank you, Leanne, but we have questions for you.
Thanks,
Do
Dan.
Can you clarify the assignment so that we know exactly what we need to do?
Yes. All I want you to do, I'll write it up today.
Oh.
It'll be under a module. But what I'd like you to do is just write links on for technology.
Okay.
Or books, anything.
Okay, so resources, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And each of you just put one up, one or two up, and that would be great.
All right, thank you.
That will help everybody. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
you, everybody.
Have a good St. Patrick's Day. Okay.
You
Too.
too.
I got to wear green.
Bye-bye.
Green beer.
I'm
getting
that'll
stuff.
be fine. I'll drink.
Yeah, later.